2 counter sniper shots.
Hi guys, welcome to I'm gonna fix my mic. Welcome to Pillars of Eternity 1. I have all DLC, the White March 1 and 2 installed, and I believe that was all of them. Okay.
And this chilling photo from the eyewitness video shows the moment before Thomas Crooks is killed. He turns and points his AR-15 style rifle towards the crowd, towards the people who are hiding. Fox Digital asked the shooter's father if there were any warning signs.
We'll release a statement when our legal counsel advises us to do so. Until then, we have no options. We're just going to try to take care of our children.
Making sure these are okay.
Please, give us our space.
And these new alarming details come on the heels of multiple overlapping federal investigations into the attempted assassination. Back to you.
All right, CV, thank you very much. Since we're talking about the Secret Service, let's bring in former Secret Service operative Marshal Meraki. How do you say that? Meraki. Thank you very much. Sorry about that, Marshal. Marshal, so it's been very clear now that apparently they knew about this suspicious character for over an hour. They didn't know early that he had a gun. But nonetheless, the event went on, and they brought the former president out. This happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, and you're absolutely right. This happens all the time.
Never just leave it.
Surprised when I came on Sunday morning, we had little to no facts come in yet, and right away I said, you know, there was lack of resources, lack of personnel, and obviously mobile miscommunication. So in this instance, and these
Okay,
are absolutely
good.
not excuses.
Let's get started.
Understand how these types of things happen. The Secret Service has an entire division, protective.
New to real time. Okay, yeah, easy, normal.
There would be agents on the ground who could go out.
Not recommended for newcomer. I'm kind of a newcomer to real time. I used to play turn-based, Xcom 2, etc., etc.
That's why you keep losing them.
Pillars of Eternity 2 is turn-based as well. Play that. Drawing a coffee.
Something bad, looking for pictures of people that were looking for all day. Just putting a local police officer in that spot, that's not what he's trained to do. He has a quick roll call, pretty fun. Maybe on his responsibility for the day or her responsibility for the day, but that you're asking people to do something that they're not trained to do. That's why you need specific Secret Service people in these areas so you can track this down. This is how it does happen at the White House. We would, for emergency response team, when I was an officer there for 10 years, I watched the fence line and I would call people out of suspicion where they were at, and you have teams on the ground, undercover teams, protective intelligence teams, where they track these people down and follow them around. And in this case, it just clearly didn't have the personnel to follow and people of suspicion.
So Marshall, thank you, Marshall, you have personal experience with this. You just mentioned you worked at the White House and patrolled the fence. We famously aired that video. We were all working that day when you deployed your dog, your canine Hurricane, and he caught the guy that was trying to climb the fence. Tell us about that. And also, you have mentioned that you talked a little bit about the director not going to the scene of the shooting. She never went during the investigation, so I want to hear you talk about that as well.
You worry about history repeating itself, and 10 years ago, almost to the month now, the Secret Service was having a lot of these security lapses. It pretty much culminated in September of 2019 when you have Omar Gonzalez gets inside, or September 19th, 2014, Omar Gonzalez gets inside the White House. So 12 days later, Director Pearson did resign. Very similar to hearings at Capitol Hill, just like we've seen this week. She did resign. Weeks later, an individual jumps the fence again, over the bike rack, over the fence, right there on the front lawn with President Obama and his family right beside. So you can see the frustration from us officers on the ground of changes not being made quick enough, and that's, there will be a new director, but that doesn't immediately fix the problem. The one thing when Director Joseph Clancy, one of the greatest men I've ever met, I believe he was able to fix the Secret Service, and he did it by talking to the men and women on the ground. He would leave.
I like Dwarf. Dwarf's nice. I like Elf too. Because of the perception.
What are the concerns? What went wrong?
Yeah, I think we're going Elf.
Where are our vulnerabilities? He did that with the men and women of the Secret Service every day.
Pale Elf.
From headquarters. So
Wood Elf sounds way better.
To hear that this director didn't go to the
yeah.
That was obviously a surprise to hear that.
So that goes to the also all the guys that I know that are still in the Secret Service. They don't hear her. She doesn't talk to them.
Wow.
They don't hear her anymore. And so that was the big problem.
She drew it.
Please tell Hurricane that I was saying.
Copy's ready.
He's one of the 17 and he's still running around like a crazy man.
Marshall, thank you for your service and protecting the president for all these years. Right next to that, President Biden will finally address the nation tonight after days of silence following his decision to drop out of hearings.
Vice President Harris killed her first
why he left the race and what he hopes to accomplish in his last 6 months in office. He didn't reveal anything on Tuesday. Meantime, the Harris campaign is touting a $126 million fundraising haul since Sunday. In a new memo, they say they're confident the vice president can expand their support, especially among minority voters, as she lays out the choices in November. We are a people-powered campaign. That is how you know we will be a people-first presidency. I know Donald Trump's tight. In this campaign, I promise you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week. For their part, the Trump campaign says
I'm sure Ranger.
to the president's record on inflation and the crisis at the southern border. Lauren, Steve, anything right?
Thank you, Maddie. So it's fascinating to see Kamala Harris say she has the attack plan. He's convicted felon. Got it. I know people like that. I prosecuted for years. Understand it. When she says, "Oh, I'm proud to compare my record to Donald Trump's record," I don't think that's a place he wants to go. I didn't think Joe Biden wanted to go there. So it's very interesting to think that he's going to take someone with a 40-year business record and 4 years as president and says, "I'll put my record up against that." Just what business did she ever start? What's she ever done?
I get the focus on Kamala Harris, though, but we still have a current president. He's just been MIA. He's supposed to be giving this address today. I wonder what he's going to say, but there's no real governing happening right now. There's no talk about policy, what he's going to do. It's just like they're going to post him out. And I understand it. Ainsley made this point as well yesterday. When you look at this this in two prongs. From a political standpoint, obviously you don't want Kamala Harris to get that bump from becoming president. But is this what's good for the country to have this guy still there? We still have national security threats. Just had assassination on a former president, and we got a threat of Iran as well that we're worried about.
Well, and we haven't seen it for all those days, and we heard from the White House doctor, Kevin O'Connor. He said that apparently the current
Let me see, Drew.
with Paxlovid, which he's received a number of times. He tested negative for coronavirus, and so that's why he came back to the White House. He never had a fever, vitals normal, lungs clear. He had planned to campaign for Kamala Harris this week, but apparently he's pretty much canceled everything with the exception of meeting with Bibi Netanyahu and then Trump. Then he's going to go to Camp David. But here's the thing. He returns to, and by the way, he didn't take the big steps for a change, not the baby steps. Then again, it was a smaller plan. He returns to the White House a much different presidency because he's got 6 months to go. He's not running anymore. And he's a lame duck. And so tonight what he's going to do is he's going to talk a little bit about what lies.
Ranger.
There's going to be a lot of frustration because, for the most part, members of Congress are going to want to stick around to pass any legislation. They're going to want to go home and campaign. So
think about what happened. A week ago, or a little more than a week ago, President Trump survived this assassination attempt that really rallied the voters around him. Then you go into the RNC. The Democrats were panicking because they knew they were going to lose. All the polls showed that. They knew that. All the Democrats were going on every channel saying that. Then they're in this honeymoon phase right now. They announced that Kamala Harris is going to be the new candidate. We're waiting on her to pick her VP. They're in this phase right now where it's the honeymoon. Every time you go on social media, you see new memes and new praises for Kamala Harris. And this is what you saw from the media yesterday. Listen.
Harris made her first official campaign stop, and she did it with a delicious dose of trolling Donald Trump and the Republicans. She understands what her message is. She understands message discipline, and she's an extraordinary candidate on the trail.
Free at last. Kamala Harris is unleashed. She's just brilliant. She's just the energy that's
Gizmo.
for the American people. Look, I mean, this is 2008 vibes already.
Well, I'll tell you what. Obviously, you compare him to President Biden, who's muddling his way through speeches. People know.
Yeah, anyone's doing better, right?
Yeah, couldn't go more than 15 minutes. She's very good on the prompter. No one even doubted that. She had 3,000 people there. Why were they there? A lot of that to do with, hey, I'm a Democrat. I thought we were going to go down in flames. Now we have a shot. The problem with Kamala Harris, number one, she has not had her record exploited heavily because people thought and marginalized her. Even in the Democratic Party, they said, wow, what a bad choice Joe Biden made. Number two is she hasn't sat down for an interview. When she sits down in an interview and says, do you want to fund ICE? Where do you stand on Medicare for all? Why didn't you show up? The most recent decision, already you got a question. She will not show up for the Prime Minister's joint session of Congress today. She'd rather address in the summer a sorority, a college sorority. Like she can't get out of that. So that's her decision. And that's her decision to back up the protesters.
And about the border? When they asked her about the border, I haven't been to Europe either. Remember she said that? She's the border czar. She didn't go to the president. She didn't go to the border. And now we're learning that two of the border chiefs, the last two border chiefs, she hasn't talked to.
Well, to Brian's point as well, no one doubted the prompter, but there is a lot of doubt when it comes to a person that is able to defend themselves. Remember, she did great when it comes to the hearings. The person can't really respond.
The best I can do.
Like Kavanaugh and those.
Yeah, they're on the hot seat at that moment. But when it comes to interviews and going back and forth, where there's no script, when she has to understand the policy, I mean, this is not coming from us. When you talk to her people, which, by the way, there should be an entire investigation to over the 80% of her staff members that left. And one of the things that they say is she's not well read. Well, she take the briefing material or any of that information.
So, to your point, Ainsley, about right now, it's the honeymoon stage, and people are like, oh, let's take a look at Kamala Harris. Well, we are taking a look.
We'll take the dexterity.
So let's just go through her various jobs in her adult life and talk a little bit about how she's done, because it comes down to her on the issues.
Stealth.
There were record migrant encounters, as the so-called border czar. The last two Border Patrol chiefs say Harris is not spoken to, his name being mentioned. She pushed the envelope of the administration's messaging on the Israel-Gaza conflict and called for a ceasefire in March. Said anti-Israel protesters on college campuses were showing exactly what the human emotion should be as a response to Gaza. Maybe that's not it. She's not making a meeting. And a leading voice inside the administration advocating for forgiving student debt.
Also look at foreign policy. She was looking to advocate. She went to Europe to stop the Russian invasion. How did that go? Supported campus protests on Gaza. Tell me how that's profitable, or how the American Jewish audience is going to feel as though that resonates. That might be an outward attempt and maybe an homage to the Michigan voters.
All right, she was also a senator, and as a senator, she applauded the LA mayor's decision to slash police funding after the George Floyd death. She helped raise funds to bail rioters out of jail in 2020. Remember that summer?
Tweet's still out there.
Yeah, original co-sponsor of the non-binding resolution defining the Green New Deal. She's all into the environment, and she's pushed fracking ban. How's that going to work in the Rust Belt states? How's it going to work in Pennsylvania during her 2019 White House run? Even though she did try to walk it back when she was Biden's running mate. And then in 2018, she said we need to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way that it is being administered.
Well, they did. And they gutted it. And now we have no way of following up with these would-be criminals. And then supported health care for illegal immigrants. She was on camera multiple times saying everyone in this country should get free health care. I don't care who you are.
Let's go to the beginning of her career when she was a prosecutor and then she was Attorney General in California. During her first 3 years as a district attorney, San Francisco's conviction rate jumped from 52 to 67%. She opposed legalization of marijuana in 2010, but views changed over the years, declined to pursue the death penalty against the man who murdered a San Francisco police officer. Under her tenure as AG, the state passed controversial Prop 47, which made retail theft under $950.
Hey Gizmo, how are you? Good boy. Good boy.
GOP recently blamed her for that. We just laid out from senator to attorney general, prosecutor, as well as vice president. So I'll tell you, there's a wealth of information when it comes to Kamala Harris. Her record, you can attack that. All of these other attacks are just unnecessary. It's going to tick voters off. It's going to make this a identity politics race. And if you decide to do that, you're going to lose. If you start attacking her based on being DEI and all the other stuff like that, you're going to turn voters off, especially, and I understand it. Biden set the stage for it, saying, hey, I'm only going to select a black woman. But you never want to make, when the GOP is gaining ground in black America, for that to be the one thing that you're attacking on. There's a lot of stuff we just laid out.
Well, and right now, she is in the honeymoon phase, as we have talked about. Now you know a little more about her personal record. The question is, how's she going to do? Because, the early polling was that she was still underwater compared to Donald Trump. Priorities USA, which is a Democratic super PAC, did some polling since she's been out and about, and she is generating more enthusiasm than Joe Biden with young voters. Democrat leading voters in battleground states between the ages of 18 and 34 are 5% more likely to definitely vote for her. She has picked up 4% with black voters and 3% with Latinos than Joe Biden.
And this is ours. So we got to take that, knowing that the fact is that this is just almost a flash poll. They also have Reuters has Harris up by 2 over Trump, which was predicted by Tony Fabrizio, Trump's leading pollster for a number of years. He said, look, the honeymoon will be, will have the one-to-one coverage for Harris. She's going to receive fantastic coverage from the mainstream media. It's happening. Largely positive will certainly energize Democrats and other parts of the coalition. But sooner or later, it's going to be about her record. And it's going to go back to who's responsible, what did she do, and the reason why she had under 40% approval rating. And Joe Biden, despite what other people say, is not popular. His approval rating is about 36%, is because their policies didn't work. Trump says compare the policies. And after the honeymoon phase is over and the Democratic convention is through, that's where the Trump team feels as though they will begin to pull it.
Well, if you are anti-Israel, if you want to slash police funding, if you want to reimagine ICE, if you want to let people out after they've stolen $950 from a department store, if you want to ban fracking, If you want other countries to make all the money for oil and us to rely on other countries for oil, then she might be wrong. But the majority of where I come from, they're not into any of this. They think it's too progressive. They think it's too radical, and that is who she is as a candidate.
The great thing is that the former president has already said he wants to do that. And he says he'll do too. He'll do various debates. And so that tells you that he wants to prosecute her policies versus his. So I'll be interested to see if J.D. Vance goes against her.
But the way we laid it out, it will wind up being a binary choice. Both those people have drastically different views on what should. Let's just keep gender out of it, keep race out of it. Let's talk about issues.
All right, Kamala Harris is skipping Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech to Congress today, and so are some of her fellow Democrats.
But Katie Pavlich will be here. We'll be there, I should say.
There's a bush that's common around here, kind of funny looking. You'll know it when you see it. Now you have to go far out the way to find them. Nothing you won't see on half the hills of their Grandpa. Money to be made selling their knickknacks at the fine space, if you don't mind getting stuck with Grandpa and arrows now and again. They didn't build them, but I'll be the effort here if they don't watch them like a mother bear. Of course, all the ones around here have been ransacked 10 times over. Got nothing left with half a pond. Over here.
Hard time holding it.
Got different names.
We'll always discreet if there was up to a cup full. It's zero left field odor, so I'm not just dry, I'm jump spots on the dry. We've got you. Always discreet.
Not if the weather holds it. This time of year, rain mostly, and wind. But there's a different kind of wind out here time to time. Locals call it a feeling, born out of the ether, a spirit's power. Never seen it myself, never cared to. They don't got Audra where you come from? Well, it just grows up out of the ground like this. Goes deep like tree roots. Some of it all the way to the heart of the world.
Do they have life insurance?
Stories.
No.
It's more like a shell than a proper rock. Easier
John,
to work if you're a
I'm trying to find something you can afford.
Fortunately, in only a few minutes, Select Hot found John a $500,000 policy for only $29 a month, and his wife Anne a $500,000 policy for only $21 a month. Go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs
At a price you can afford. Select Quote. Be sharp. You save. Ooh.
Got enough to worry about without
Tell
something
them
like
say,
that.
can I step close to the stadium? I'm actually in the last room for a
I was the last one a week ago.
I booked yesterday, one night $140. Some sites panic you into booking their last room. They don't have all the availability. Instead, use Trivago. Trivago compares hotel prices from hundreds of sites, so you can save up to $50 a night.
Well, at least I got the last ticket to the game.
Hotel?
At Omaha Steaks, we do burgers differently. We take a premium aged steak like this, turn it into a pure grain burger like this. So this is actually a ribeye. This is a New York strip, top sirloin, beef brisket, and this is the filet mignon. For a limited time, our Burger Perfection flight comes with 20 big juicy burgers, all for just $79.99. Get it today at omahasteaks.com/team. This is Burger Perfection, guaranteed.
If it's a Beerwick, we'll shelter in the rules. Hut dwellers be damned.
Murder, man. Let's get going before you feel over. Sure.
Today on Your World.
And that credit is here to say yes. You been one up?
Hey there. Mm-hmm. There. What did I tell you?
Reading story program. Reading
very good. Thank you for your support. It allows our therapy dog program here.
Protesters are expected to invade Capitol Hill today ahead of Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's congressional address. It comes after at least 200 protesters were arrested yesterday. They didn't want to move. Lucas Tomlinson was part of this, watching it, reporting on it, not taking part in it, live outside the Capitol yesterday. Lucas.
Brian, all is calm and quiet here in front of the U.S. Capitol, although it's going to be a different story. It's going to get much noisier later. As you mentioned, hundreds of protesters expected to descend here before Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress. It will be Netanyahu's fourth address to Congress. That's the most of any world leader in U.S. history, eclipsing Churchill. And as you mentioned yesterday, in the Cannon House Office building, hundreds of protesters descended to voice their outrage about the war in Gaza. And of course, the most notable Democrat to skip Netanyahu's address is Kamala Harris, the vice president. Of course, she would have been sitting right behind the prime minister, next to House Speaker Mike Johnson. She'll be addressing the sorority in Indiana today instead, Brian. And at least 18 House Democrats and 9 Senate Democrats are also expected to skip Netanyahu's address. Senate President Pro Tem Patty Murray, Dick Durbin, number 2 ranking senator, and other party leaders like Congressman Jim Clyburn, squad members as well. Senator Mark Kelly, who's on the short list to be Kamala Harris's running mate, is expected to attend. Donald Trump posting on his Truth Social, quote, "During my first term, we had peace and stability in the region, even signing the historic Abraham Accords, and we will have it again. Millions are dying, and Kamala Harris is in no way capable of stopping it." Now, former President Trump is expected to meet Israel's Prime Minister in his Mar-a-Lago estate on Friday. So things are calm right now here on Capitol Hill in front of the Capitol. That's expected to change. Of course, the Washington Commanders kicked off training camp out in Ashburn. Brian, I'm sure that's going to thin out the crowd. Not likely. Brian?
Yeah, I just looked at financing them. Who's buying these T-shirts? Who's organizing them? Who's putting them through the methods and practices? Have we ever gotten to the bottom of what Iran's doing and why they're praising them? Thanks so much, Lucas. Our next guest will be at the speech today. She told me that last night on the 5. Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich. Katie, why was it important for you to be there?
Good morning, Brian. Well, this is historic. I was at Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress in 2015, and he's coming again at the invitation of House Speaker Mike Johnson. And Israel is in a very precarious situation, fighting for its life as Iran takes its proxies around the country and tries to eliminate the state from the face of the earth. And it's quite interesting now that the Vice President, Kamala Harris, who is now going to be the Democratic nominee for president, is refusing to show up, along with a number of Democrats today on Capitol Hill, which is pretty pathetic and immature given the world events that we've been seeing. And it really sends a message that Democrats and the Democratic Party are morally conflicted about a democracy versus terrorist organizations that are funded by the Iranians, which the Biden administration has made more capable of carrying out attacks not just on Israel, but on Americans stationed in the Middle East and Americans around the world. So it shows that they're not willing to stand up for our friends on not just a national stage, but an international one. And certainly it sends the wrong message from the woman who wants to be the next president of the United States.
It'll be Patty Murray behind Benjamin Netanyahu when she speaks. It's just such an embarrassment. We know she's going to be. Benjamin Netanyahu will meet with President Trump in Mar-a-Lago. He'll meet with President Biden, too. They also rallied and protested outside the Prime Minister's hotel at the Watergate last night. Yesterday, there were a hostage that was released, Aviva Siegel, addressed a roundtable of House Foreign Affairs members, talked about her husband being still being held captive and what they're up against in the region. You would think there would be a reality check for these lawmakers who seem to be more worried about Michigan.
Well, look, on October 7th,
30 Americans were killed, murdered by Hamas. You have 8 Americans still being held hostage in the Gaza Strip. And that you have Democrats refusing to simply show up to listen to what a duly elected prime minister of the only democracy in the Middle East has to say about all of this. So you don't have to agree with his politics, you don't have to agree with the way he's executed the war, but you should just show up and listen to this. And just more broadly speaking, we're in this political arena. It really strikes a contrast between Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump, who will be meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu in Florida. And he can list some of the things he did. Stop garage, stop pay for spraying for Palestinian terrorists who are murdering Americans and Israelis. Recognize the Golan Heights. He also moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv permanently. So these are all things that were in the interest of the United States. But Democrats seem to be more interested in voters in Michigan and Minnesota rather than the long-term plan here.
Mike, put the Palestinian Fatah. Wrote him a note saying, glad you survived the assassination attempt. Was very thoughtful. President Trump put that online with his signature saying thank you. Tonight about 8 o'clock, we're going to see President Biden walk out and we'll be behind in the Oval Office, behind the Resolute desk. He's going to speak, I imagine, for about 15 minutes. What do you expect him to say?
Brian, I expect that we're going to continue to see the charade that the White House has been trying to sell the American people for the past 4 years. Joe Biden has decided he is incapable of running for another term in office, but somehow is trying to sell the American people that he's capable of continuing as president. He's going to try to make the case that there's more to be done, when really he's a lame duck president. So I think we're just going to see them trying to say that he's capable, he's vigorous, he's mentally stable, and that we're not just Americans watching tonight, our adversaries are watching as well.
Absolutely. Katie, thanks so much. I look forward to hearing what you are able to pick up here in the gallery today. Thanks so much. Meanwhile, just a note, Ben Marco has special coverage on President Biden's address before and after. Thank you, Katie Powell. Meanwhile, this TV host Joy Reid calling out minority voters if they don't back Kamala Harris. Our next guests are implying her message.
You're looking real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color. If you're living with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis or active psoriatic arthritis, symptoms can sometimes take you out of the moment. Now there's Skyrizi. So you can show up with clearer skin and show it off. Stuck with 90% clearer skin. And if you have psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi can help make it moving with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and less joint pain. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about how Skyrizi can help with your skin or joint symptoms. Learn how Happy can help you save.
Happy Memory has just come easier than water. Our founder, Johnny Morris, and his dad knew this firsthand. They created a boat that was more affordable. Tracker, the world's #1 best-selling fishing and pontoon boat, powered by Mercury, proudly built in Missouri, sold factory direct in mass pro shops and select dealers. For as little as $5 a day, you can own a brand new Tracker and make lifelong memories of your home. Bass Pro Shops, voted America's best outdoor retailer. See even more and support conservation with the club.
I do not know the first time I visited Arkansas. Yeah, you fainted twice.
Hey, now, let's just say it's a little bigger than imagination, okay? There's some lifeline. There's just so much that kids can do here. Virtual reality, facility, they even have sunrise. I just never thought a place like this could be real.
So, Junior was right.
I guess so. I can count. You just gotta see it to believe it.
Every week will customize my card. I save hundreds. With all the money I saved, I thought I'd buy stunts. Being so tall definitely has its advantages. You gonna go?
Thanks.
You ready to go? Yep. There it is. There we go. I guess it also has some disadvantages.
Yes, it does.
Only pay for what you need.
Take diabetes? Discover the Ozempic Trizone. I got the power of 3. I lowered my A1C, CV risk, and lost some weight. In studies, the majority of people reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it. I'm under 7. Ozempic lowers the risk of major cardiovascular events such as stroke, heart attack, or death. And adults also with known heart disease. I'm lowering my adults lost up to 14 pounds. Isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. Don't share needles or pens or reuse needles. Don't take Ozempic if you or your family ever had medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2 or are allergic to it. Stop Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Gallbladder problems may occur. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase low blood sugar risk. Side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems. Living with type 2 diabetes?
That's about the power of 3 with Ozempic.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 thumbs up. And now, buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, 2 months free. All with the same fast, reliable, nationwide coverage as Big Wireless. Make the switch today. Call, go online, or visit a store near you. That's 2 times the savings and our best deal of the year.
We needed a project manager yesterday. We posted a job with ZipRecruiter and had our guy on site in 5 days. He was qualified in every way. ZipRecruiter finds the best candidates in all our jobs. They helped us build our dream team and did it fast.
Try for free at ZipRecruiter.com/box.
Why don't you choose a sleeper starter? And it's getting warm
What
and
a
cold.
surprise. Far from winning.
Sleep
Get
Number
us a
does
lot
that.
of things. Come on.
And now save 40% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. No special financing. Shop now at sleepnumber.com.
Somebody would ask her something and she would just walk right past. Because she didn't know what was talking to her. I just could not hear. I was hesitant to get the hearing aids because of my short hair, but nobody even sees them. Our nearly invisible hearing aids are just one reason we've been a brand leader for over 75 years. When I finally could hear for the first time, I could hear everything. Call Miracle Hearing at 1-800-234-7090 and schedule your free hearing evaluation today.
So did you hear
Are you
this?
all right?
MSNBC is read warning Americans of color that they need to back Kamala Harris to make or risk the obvious.
You're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color. But really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side.
So here at Station Washington, host of Station, right? The series So, Stacey, I want to look at some of the numbers here. And this is right now when it comes to her favorability. Just amongst black folks. Right now, she's at 59%. Back in 2022, she was at 65%. So she's already lost 40% of black folks. And I guess we're not going to be a part of the community. We're a suspect if we don't cast our vote for her.
But Joy Reid is participating in this age-old process by which Black Americans are the only voter group who are required to somehow check our race or check our skin tone and support candidates who match that, as opposed to looking at policy. Now, Joy Reid is someone who, once this is all over, will begin to toe the party line. She was one of the people who carried water for the Biden administration behind this cognitive decline for Americans. And so this is really her role. We don't know how she truly feels when she's on the hot mic. She doesn't love Biden so much, but right now she's loving on Harris and telling us what to do. I prefer to look at policy. Kamala Harris supports the Green New Deal. She supports DEI. She supports the open southern border. She bailed criminals out of prison who went on to rape and murder other people through that huge fine, I think $65 million, Lauren. So when we're talking about who she is and what she's doing, that's
I see, okay. Now I understand that mechanic.
And a woman, those are irrelevant to me because policy trumps those things all day. I prefer to think with my mind, not my skin tone.
Such a good point, Stacey. So, David, one of the conversations that's been having as this debate takes place is where are black men going to go? And we've seen a shift toward Donald Trump. So Isaac Hayes, I'm not talking about the great Isaac Hayes, I'm talking about Isaac Hayes' third son. This is what he tweeted. He said, black women are watching you try to tear down an overqualified black woman trying to fulfill her purposes, breaking barriers, and accomplish her dreams. He's directing this toward black men and saying, you gotta vote for her.
You know, first let me clear something about Joy Reid Lawrence. She's a Sharpton adjacent race pimp. That's what she is. That said, and back to Stacey's points and to expand on that, the fact is we have to make our decisions based on our circumstances as Americans, whether you're black or not. What does your personal economy look like? The cost of goods and services. And the fact that they're trying to tell us we should vote, us being black people in America, that we should vote based on the color of our skin, points to who the real racists are here. If you went out and told white people they could only vote for a white candidate based on the color of their skin, they would be up in arms and they would have a right to be. The fact is, we have to look at our circumstances. Kamala Harris did all the things that most people shouldn't do in life. She failed upwards. Attorney General, non-distinct senator, non-effective, frankly, a non-working vice president, someone who has failed Americans in every task she has been given. And people have paid the price and continue to pay the price for that. And Isaac Hayes, I don't know, I got to tell you, he's got a lot of songs that would tell you otherwise, because he wasn't for standing up for who you were told to follow. He was oftentimes saying,
what's going to impact us? I want to make sure that our kids have a quality education. That means school choice. I want to make sure that all of our businesses in our community can flourish. That means low taxes, low regulations, so they can build the businesses that they want. And I want our kids safe. That means getting rid of the people that are criminals in our community, not putting them back on the street. The candidate that presents that, I think, should receive our community's support. Stacey Washington, David Webb, thanks so much for running the program this morning.
Thank you, Lawrence. Good morning.
thank you, Lawrence.
So after being MIA for days, President Biden will finally address the nation tonight after dropping out of the race. So what should he say? We'll ask former George W. Bush speechwriter Mark Thiessen. He's next.
I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
What did the president know? When did he know?
Tear down this wall.
Sammy Marlowe and Foxy Franks. Watch his must-see performance Friday. The All-American Summer Concert Series is presented by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement.
There are many ways to do things. At Old Dominion Freight Line, we do them this way. This way has people who start early, people who care, and inspire each other to do things the way they should be done. This way uses technology and goes the extra mile to deliver your promises on time, every time. This way is why we're the #1 national LTL carrier for quality. For us, this way is the right way, which is why it's the only way we go.
Life. It guides our every waking moment. What we do, and how we do it. And the amount of light we need can change in an instant. And when it does, you can control it. 3-day blinds. Find the light for your life. Visit 3dayblinds.com to get started.
While I'm a paid actor, and this isn't a real company, there's no way to fake how Upwork can help your business. Upwork is half the cost of our old recruiter, and they have top-tier talent and everything from PR to project management. Because this is how we work now.
GA, the advanced form of dry age-related macular degeneration, can irreversibly damage your vision. It can progress faster than you think. When GA threatens your eyes, take a stand. Slow GA with Syfovre. Syfovre is an eye injection that was proven to slow damaging lesion growth over 2 years with increasing effect over time. It's the only FDA-approved treatment to slow GA in as few as 6 doses per year.
Don't take Syfovre if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye that may include pain and redness. Syfovre can cause serious side effects, such as eye infection and retinal detachments, severe inflammation of vessels in the retina, which may result in severe vision loss, wet AMD, eye inflammation, and an increase in eye pressure. Most common side effects are eye discomfort, wet AMD, small specks floating in vision, and blood in the white of the eye. Tell your doctor right away if you have any side effects.
Every moment counts. Act now to slow GA with Syfovre.
That bear going. To be like dangerous.
You know, there's this thing called age, and it sucks.
If you're over another sunny day by the water, but it only takes one fast decision to change the mood. Voters operating under the influence of alcohol or drugs post the same picture and face the same consequences as those operating a motor vehicle. They'll lose their license, face fines and insurance increases, and maybe even jail time. Impaired voting is impaired driving. There are better ways to spend a sunny day. Enjoy the summer on safer roads and waterways. Arrive alive. Try sober.
Was that?
Elimination after dropping out of the race on Sunday.
Here's what we could expect to hear tonight at 8 p.m. Here in Fox News. He is Fox News contributor and speechwriter in GWB, Mark Kasich. Hey, Mark, good morning.
Let's get further
Good morning.
inside. Can you walk?
If you were writing the speech, you would have him resign because he's unfit to be president. Yeah, that's probably why he's not going to ask me to write the speech, unfortunately. But look,
Goodbye.
if he did ask me to write the speech, it would be a very hard speech to write because he owes the American people a lot of explanations and really no good answers to provide. I mean, just a few days ago, he was telling the American people he was full steam ahead. He was perfectly fine. He was good. He just had a bad night, and now all of a sudden he's reversed course 180 degrees. What happened? What changed? Why? He has to explain why suddenly he has stepped aside, and he also has to explain, why if he's fit to serve, if he's not fit to run, why is he fit to serve? Why is he still the president? These are questions that can be very hard to answer.
Yeah, all of a sudden, 100 days, a little more than 100 days out of this election, and then he tells us that he's resigning. This is unprecedented. It's never been happened before. You worked for a president. What's happening behind the scenes? How did this all play out?
Well, I've never worked for a president like this. I mean, the Oval Office address for a president, unless there's like an immediate crisis or some kind, you're working on these speeches for weeks at a time to prepare for them. This is something that's being put together at the last second. Sudden decision that was made, though maybe behind the scenes they were preparing for this moment and just moving it towards. So maybe the speechwriters were assigned to do this a couple of weeks ago, and just the president didn't know that speechwriters were working on it. But the other thing to keep in mind is also, the last thing we really want is for him to resign because from the White House, because Kamala Harris is the most radical person ever nominated by a major party. If you look at her voting record, remember 4 years ago, the Democrats panicked that Bernie Sanders might end up being the Democratic nominee, which is why they rallied around Joe Biden. Her voting record was to the left of Bernie Sanders in the U.S. Senate. Of 100 senators, she was the most far-left person. She completely supports the Green New Deal, the whole Democratic Socialist agenda, from the Green New Deal to Medicare for all. This is a very radical person. She should never be anywhere near the Oval Office. Of course, famously, Barack Obama chose Hillary Clinton to run in 2016, not Joe Biden as vice president. Hillary's in the New York Times. She wrote an op-ed, and she said, among other things, Mark, while it still pains me that I could not break that highest, hardest glass ceiling, I'm proud that my 2 presidential campaigns made it seem normal to have a woman at the top of the ticket. It sounds like she's forgotten about Geraldine Ferraro, who, of course, ran for vice president of Mondale.
You know, I think Hillary is maybe saying that publicly, but she's very quietly seething. Kamala Harris has been close to the Oval Office, but I'll tell you, this is very dangerous. This is not a normal candidate. This is the most far left person ever nominated by a major party. She wants to ban fracking, which is going to be how is that going to sell in Pennsylvania? She opposed. She wanted to abolish ICE. She supported health care for all illegal migrants. I mean, the list of her radical left policies. And she also owns all the disasters of the Biden administration. She cast the deciding vote for the spending that unleashed the worst inflation in 4 decades. So it's going to be a tough sell.
Thank you so much, Mark, for coming on. And you at home, you'll be able to watch the president's address. You're welcome. Live with Fox News' special coverage beginning at 8 p.m. We'll have Martha and Brett on set, and they will watch the speech, and then they will give their reaction.
And we have Carly.
Hi, guys. I just hopped in a little early. Just wanted to get a little extra screen time with you. We got some more headlines to get starting with. This just in, as we get closer to the 2024 Paris Summer Olympic Games, Salt Lake City has won the bid for the 2034 Winter Olympics. The long-awaited decision comes as the International Olympic Committee Board convenes ahead of this year's Summer Olympic Games, which will kick off very soon, July 24th. And a remarkable video from the coast of New Hampshire shows a humpback whale leaping out of the water and landing onto a fishing boat. The Coast Guard says the fishermen on board were ejected. And the 23-foot vessel capsized. The fishermen were helped out of the water and are okay. The whale is also said to have swam away uninjured. Wild video there. And over on the West Coast, sea lions making havoc once again at a beach in Southern California, chasing off beachgoers at Lafayette Cove. It's been an increasingly common sight at the Cove, as experts say the local sea lion population increases this time of year for breeding season. And those are your headlines, guys. What are you?
Funny. You've been on that beach in La Jolla. Those sea lions are chasing all the people. Very aggressive. All right, we're going to step aside. Well, look who's coming up next 2 hours. Lots of friends put down the remote. We'll be right back.
We're going to die in here if we don't get moving and get this place figured out before
Choose Advil liquid gels for faster, stronger, and longer-lasting relief than Tylenol rapid release gels. Because Advil targets pain at the source of inflammation. So for faster pain relief, Advil, the pain away.
Starting a business is never easy, but starting at 8 months pregnant, that's a different story. With the Chase Ink card, we got up and running in no time.
Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase with the Chase Ink Business Unlimited card. Chase for Business.
4 years of hard work, 4 years of dedication. Everything comes down to this moment.
Australia has been unbelievable. The greatest female swimmer of all time. Wow. Welcome back, Simone Biles.
I'm Tony Steve, digital strategist at AmericanEagle.com. Our clients have complex website and digital marketing needs. Badgley Mischka, a high-end fashion brand, needed to expand their online presence, reach new customers, and increase online sales. We solve digital challenges like this all the time. We implemented a digital marketing strategy and more than doubled their online sales through management of email marketing, paid search, SEO, and social media. For results-driven digital marketing solutions, go to AmericanEagle.com.
This tiny home trend, not for me. Now this is more like it. The same goes for my footwear. So I went hands-free with wide fit Skechers slip-ins. Just step in and go without bending down or touching my shoes. Wide fit hands-free Skechers slip-ins.
Now, first of all, as we begin Arithmetic 5 today, we want to talk about addition. So today,
At Becca Academy, screen time is actually good for your child.
See if they left anything.
Start your free trial and save $100 today.
Have you ever thought of getting a walk-in tub for you or someone you love? Now is a great time to take a look at getting a Safe Step walk-in tub. With Safe Step's standard heated seat and new fast-fill faucet, you can enjoy a nice warm bath up to 20% faster.
And the convenient touchpad control is right at your fingertips.
Each tub comes standard with a dual hydrotherapy system. The 10 water jets can help increase mobility, relieve pain, boost energy, and improve sleep. While the MicroSoothe advanced air therapy system oxygenates and softens skin.
Safe Step walk-in tubs are built to maximize safety, so you can stay in your home and enjoy the comforts of bathing again.
So call now for more information and a free, no-obligation consultation.
Call now, 1-800-591-7536. There's never been a better time. That's 1-800-591-7536.
Is now on Settles.com or call 1-800-SETTLES.
Somebody would ask her something and she would just walk right past. She didn't know they were talking. I just could not hear. I was hesitant to get the hearing aids because of my short hair, but nobody even sees them.
Our newly invisible hearing aids are just one reason you've been a brand leader for over 75 years.
When I finally could hear for the first time, I could hear everything.
Call Miracle Earache, 1-800-234-7090 and schedule your free hearing evaluation today. We all know what it's like to worry, to not know where our dog is going. Say goodbye to that with Tractive. Follow every step and find your dog in no time. Set virtual fences, monitor their activity, sleep, and get health alerts all in one easy-to-use app with unlimited range and support in over 150 countries. Tractive, the GPS tracker trusted by pet parents worldwide. Save 30% for a limited time.
Look at the time. It's 7 a.m. on the East Coast. I checked my watch right before I came on the air. It is Wednesday, July 24th. This is Pots and Friends. Now, we have new chilling body cam video raising more questions about what was seen and what was flagged before the assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Yes, the Baker County sniper seen it picked up. This isn't. That's the sniper that sent the original pictures and seen it from the fight and set the book back down and then lost sight of him.
A new witness video shows the panic from the crowd.
Sure.
They are running for their lives. Meanwhile, President Biden is going to address the nation tonight at 8 p.m. after being MIA for almost a week after dropping out of the 2024 race. What will he say tonight?
It's about time for the impact being felt here and across the world. Here's Morgan joins us.
That's right. The second hour of Fox and Friends starts right now. And remember, mornings are better with friends.
Fox News Alert newly released body cam video is just talking about this. It's showing the moments immediately after the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
The new footage raising even more questions as the FBI Director Christopher Wray is set to testify on Capitol Hill in just a few hours from now.
C.B. Cotton joins us from the site of the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania. C.B.
Hi, Lawrence. Well, this body camera video shows the moments right after gunman Thomas Crooks was killed. We've been told that he was identified as suspicious by local law enforcement before the shooting. But now this body camera video appears to confirm that Crooks was identified as suspicious to at least some Secret Service agents. Watch.
Yes, the Baker County sniper seen it picked it up. This isn't. That's the sniper that sent the original pictures and seen it from the fight and set the book back down and then lost sight of him. He's the one that sent the pictures. I don't know if you got the same ones I did.
I think I did, yeah. He's like got glasses on.
So we have the picture of that. I got that. Okay. And then this is his fight with the stuff. And our sniper seeing him walking away from that. Okay. But he would be right inside that window. He's the one that physically seen this, sent the pictures, and called it out. Okay.
And now, another new video from an eyewitness shows people screaming in fear after spotting Crooks and his assault rifle. Then you'll hear what sounds like multiple shots. And this chilling photo from the eyewitness video shows the moment before Thomas Crooks is killed. He turns and points his AR-15 style rifle towards people who are hiding. Fox Digital asked the shooter's father if there were any missed warning signs.
We'll release a statement and our legal counsel advises us to do so. Until then, we got no option. We're just going to try and take care of ourselves right now.
Assault on one of the trials,
Give us our statement.
Ronald Rowe has been named the new acting director of the Secret Service after Kimberly Cheadle faced intense scrutiny for the apparent security lapses during the July 13th rally. Back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. So one of the guys with the video, this guy is John Malice, he said, I can't believe how bright security was when he was there. The other thing you hear in the video is, why is he coming on the roof? Why is he standing there? And some said, well, he was going up on the roof because he wanted a better view. And then they realized, they were taking pictures, they were suspected of him. Then you saw the guy with the red tiger, I imagine Secret Service or someone hired by Secret Service. He said, yeah, this is the guy we're taking pictures of. Now, next to the body were 4 magazines. And then we know the exploded could have detonated an explosion in the car. Do you notice how much worse this could have gotten? Had they not had the second sniper team reaching out through the trees?
So Fox Digital was there in the parking lot when the parents were grocery shopping and putting the groceries in the car. And they reportedly called police hours before the shooting saying that their son was missing. They have been cooperating with the FBI and they clearly have a lawyer because they said as soon as our lawyer, our counsel tells us that we can release information, we will, or we'll have
Great. And you know what's interesting about that second shot is, so Chuck Grassley released that video. It's hard to see the shooter, but he's lying behind the officers because we've buzzed out his image, but you can see a trail of blood. But the second batch of video, keep in mind, after the shooting, all we saw was Donald Trump go down, and then we saw the people in the background relatively, they were just kind of standing there in shock. They didn't really move. But the second batch of video where you see the people throughout the pyramid, that stuff right there, that is so different than what we've seen before because those people
We're closest to the shooter.
and they are running for their lives. Just look at them over to the screen right, and you can see the flags in the background. And there's the shooter right up there.
They all went through the metal detectors because they're outside the perimeter.
Let's bring in Fox News contributor, former DC homicide detective Ted Williams. He's live in Butler, Pennsylvania. So Ted, I'm just curious because you used to be a local cop, detective, Washington DC. What are the local cops telling you? Because there was an attempt before the backlash from the Secret Service to throw them under the bus and say that it was their fault because it was their job to guard the perimeter. What do you learn?
Good morning. Let me just say I'm honored to be on what I define as a fabulous fall under unfortunate circumstances. One of the things that we must keep in mind is that someone did in fact die as a result of this Keystone Cop operation, which makes it just more upsetting. And I can tell you, most of the cops here in Butler, Pennsylvania, they're very solid, I gotta tell you all. But the citizens are talking, and they are giving a great deal of information. We interviewed several citizens who said the night before that the rally, that there was lax security, that they could get up very close. Somebody needs to answer for this above and beyond the director who has now resigned. Kids must roll.
Great. Some of this video was released by Chuck Grassley, the senator from the great state of Iowa, Ted. And he also apparently got his hand on some of the information that was circulating amongst law enforcement. And there's the shot right there with the shooter down. He punched out his body. Apparently, Chuck Grassley is asking for details about that day because he wants to know, apparently on the list of law enforcement, there was a drone operator who's going to be working for law enforcement, and he wants to know from the federal government, was there a drone? Was it up? Why wasn't it up? Because the shooter had a drone and flew over the site earlier.
You know, guys, I need you all to picture something here.
I could scout ahead.
An hour before this rally, they were on to this guy. They had a picture of this guy. They knew who Thomas Crooks was. And the question that America should be asking is, we all should be asking is, how the hell would they elect the president of the United States takes the stage knowing full well they had this kind of information?
But you know what?
Think about it.
You know what? They had no communication. Those guys, they were not in communication with the officers that were with the president.
You know, you're absolutely correct about that. And we had someone from the Pennsylvania State Police to testify yesterday that there were two individuals who were overlooking the roof where this killer was on, and that they left their post to go looking for this killer. Somebody needs to be able to respond to what took place. Christopher Wray, as you all know, is appearing today before the Judiciary Committee. I can tell you, do not expect any bombshells to come from his testimony today. I don't expect him to give up very much. But somebody, America, deserves answers. A man died and a president, the 45th president of the United States, could be dead today as a result of the inaction, the Keystone Cop operation that took place.
Yeah, and Ted, remember, he was on 3 encrypted platforms in 3 separate countries. So this guy could either be a loner who was bullied in school. Why was he contacting these platforms in New Zealand, Germany, and Belgium right before the shooting?
There are a lot of questions. And how did they lose him? They had a picture of him. He's standing up there on the roof looking at the guy who's dead and saying, oh yeah, that's the guy in this picture. How did they lose him? They clearly had pictures of him on the bike, and they knew that he was on the premises. But thank you so much, Ted. They couldn't find him.
I was looking so one report. Yeah, I saw one report that they got off the road because it was too hot.
Yeah.
So
you don't leave your post. But again, all the lies that were told about the slow groove, the communication, the timeline was off. All of that is coming out right now. Why are we learning?
Mom.
Why are we learning more from citizens that were there than we are from law enforcement?
That could be press conference. Should be giving press conferences every day.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if the director is able to share like that.
By the way, we can't forget this. The Secret Services are now saying that the former president cannot do outdoor rallies anymore because of this. So, because you guys suck at your job. I'm not talking about rank and file. I'm talking about the leadership. And you guys are diverting all the money to other programs and not going toward your duty, which is just to protect the president and all the rest of the presidents. Now we can't do out better Trump more than anybody else because no one's getting more than $3,000. It's just like some of the philosophers, you guys can no longer do diners. It's like a part of the show. That's like what we do. And you're saying no longer we can do it. It's the same thing for the President of the United States.
And for the Trump campaign, it costs more to do it in indoor arena kind of thing than just out in the fairgrounds. So, more on this throughout the day. In the meantime, tonight, 13 hours from right now, President Biden will finally address the days of silence following his decision to drop out of the race. Oh, look, it's on the big steps today.
Senior White House correspondent Jackie Reiner joins us now with the latest. Hey, Jackie. Hey, good morning to you guys. The president said he would explain his decision to the American people when he addresses the nation from the Oval Office tonight. That's a setting that's
Usually reserved for somber moments or emergencies, the president just gave his third Oval Address about 10 days ago after the assassination attempt on former President Trump. Biden was calling at that point to turn down the divisive rhetoric in the country. So it looks like this speech tonight is going to be less of a rallying cry to get behind Kamala Harris than a heart-to-heart with the country, as the president's longest allies told him his 54 years of public service needed to come to an end.
Don't feel betrayed by any of that, or does he understand that it was for the country? We'll hear from him directly, and I think he'll address whatever is on his heart. And he said he's getting hard now. He understands where people are. He understands having done this 36 years as a senator, 8 years as vice president, 8 years as president. He gets it. He gets where we are as a country.
We also expect the president to explain how he'll spend his final months in office as an early lame duck president. Expect a lot of focus on foreign policy goals, especially with reports that Kamala Harris will clean house in his cabinet if she wins in November.
Trying to bring peace to the Middle East, ending the war in Gaza, putting that region on a better trajectory, continuing to deal as effectively as he has been with the ongoing aggression by Russia against Ukraine.
The Harris campaign this morning is optimistic after raking in record-setting donations and drawing a crowd so large yesterday they needed a new venue. Jen O'Malley Dillon saying Harris has an advantage with key voting blocks, several of them. Quote, the race is more fluid now. This expanded universe of winnable voters is highly accessible to Vice President Harris, who have a clear advantage on issues. They've been supportive of Democrats in the past, and many are supportive of Democrats down ballot. Now, this video is all we've seen of the president since he emerged from 6 days of isolation with COVID, saying that he feels well, but ignoring a question on whether Harris can beat Trump in his belief. Clearly, though, guys, his colleagues in his party think that she can. That's it.
Hey, Jackie, real quick, have you heard any rumblings there at the White House or from your other sources about how he's going to explain why he's stepping aside? Is he going to say, look, I'm not in good health, or I'm losing a step, or now I'm that bridge to the next generation again?
I think that he will explain why he decided to no longer be a bridge. He kind of has to, because he said initially in 2020 he intended to be a bridge, and then during that press conference a few weeks ago he was trying to resurrect his flailing campaign. He said that it wasn't the time for a bridge. His wisdom and his many years in office gave him the perspective that he needed to get the job done, and he didn't think that other people had those qualifications. He turned around from that after a lot of pressure, and so I think he's going to have to address that piece. He'll probably speak to sort of the feeling within the party and within the base that they want to move on and look forward. But nothing on the horizon about any health issue. Of course, we're all listening for that, but the age concern really was the driver of all of this. So we will see what he says.
And I wonder if he's going to mention all the top Democrats in D.C. stabbing in the back. So I'm going to say goodbye.
Save this, and then we'll level up.
I don't like the fact that
check in with our special coverage tonight, 8 p.m.
I don't like the fact that all of a sudden the mood has changed. I mean, I thought the press had finally gotten it. It's like, hold the White House accountable. They've been lying to us. And now all of a sudden I see all of them. I've been watching all the channels. I feel sorry for Joe Biden. Excuse me? Have you guys forgotten that we've been lied to for over a year now about the condition of the press? I know. It's unbelievable. I don't feel sorry for them at all. At all. They've been lying to us for the entire time. And now that the poll numbers change, they want to switch the candidates out. And he still gets to stay in office.
Hey, Bush.
As a country, border, economic policies, international policies, all of it is killing us all. And we got to feel sorry for them.
Well, Black Lives Matter, and I know what you're saying, like, why would we care about an organization that doesn't
Go, Bush.
all the money that they've got, that can't hold a CEO accountable? But here's what their statement said, relatively intriguing. It says, we call for the Rules Committee, I guess the Democratic Rules Committee, to create a process that allows for public participation in the nomination process, not just a nomination for party delegates. The current political landscape is unprecedented, with President Biden stepping aside in a manner never seen before. This moment calls for decisive action to protect the integrity of our democracy and the votes of black voters. We do not live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. Any attempt to evade the rule. Okay, we get it. So here's the thing. You never had a choice the first time. He got 14 million votes because you told people they wanted to run against him, he better not. The party bosses said, RFK, if you want to run, you're not going to get on the New Hampshire primary. We're going to move to the New Hampshire primary because it's not good for our candidate who we handpicked and then want to keep in office. And they cleared the field. So for the 14 million people that voted for Joe Biden, that was a voting vote anyway because you had no choice. Dean Phillips was not a legitimate threat. And the RFK had to leave the party. So the bigger question is, what happened since Hillary went against Obama? The Democrats are scared to death to let the Democratic voters or primary voters pick a candidate. They refuse to let it happen. They want to be the ones.
BLM says it's a blatant disregard for democratic principles and it's unacceptable. We need public participation.
Well, and the New York Times and Barack Obama both said when Joe announced that he was going to start for re-election, this needs to be an open process so everybody can see. You know, sunlight is a great disinfectant, essentially. But it's not. It is a coronation. Kamala Harris is going to wind up getting. Yesterday, the DNC, they had a meeting, and they talked about the rules, setting the schedule to formalize the nomination. So here's the rule. The candidates must meet the requirement of having a majority of delegates by July 30th. And if she is unchallenged, voting will start virtually the next day. And the DNC is going to vote on those today. But nonetheless, people are going, hey, wait a minute, I thought we were in the same process. Why aren't they challenging her with other people in the party? And that's what Brett Stevens, who used to be at the Wall Street Journal, now at the New York Times, has this quote. He said, the whole point of competitive process, even a truncated one, is to discover unsuspected strengths, which is how Harris flamed out as candidate the last time. If there's evidence that she's a better candidate now than she was then, she should be given the chance to prove it. In other words, there should be a race, essentially. The horse is out of the barn, the cat's out of the barn.
These might be fun to use.
The cat or the cow? Both cat and cows and horses. Holy cow, that barn is empty.
To the point of the deal is
I'd rather build up my companion.
I think people are looking at this whole thing with Kamala Harris all wrong. They think that somehow that she's just going to automatically get the support of black voters. I mean, we just put the poll on the latest poll. Her favorability amongst black voters only at 60%. 60% that is wide open for someone else. And you got to think about her being the base of the Democratic Party. It's black voters.
No one stopped Mark Kelly from stepping up. Nobody stopped Governor Beshear from stepping up. I mean, to the Democrats' point, if they had stepped out, I think to a degree, Obama and Chimera.
Let's save this again.
Surprise. If the vice president
And we'll catch you guys next time. Right? It's going to be a long one, so stay tuned. It's going to be real good.